Okay, now we're live. Welcome back, everybody. Happy Sunday. Another Sunday market outlook. Purpose of these outlooks, if this is your first time, is to prepare you for the trading week. Even if you're not a trader, you're an investor, or you just want to know more about financial markets, you found yourself in the right place. Hit like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not, that means you're a Chart Addicts member. Congratulations. You're in the right place. Okay. So markets have been crashing. I've been getting texts all weekend. And basically, guys, my birthday and whenever the market does something crazy is the only time my people ask for me, right? Market's crashing. People are like, Roy, crypto's dropping. Should I buy more? Should I? It's the only time I feel relevant. The market should crash more often, right? Now, I'm going to break down very simply before we get started on the total Sunday outlook on what I think is going to happen. Dr. Richard Olson is the person who founded Oanda, the largest Forex broker in the world, and he also was the inventor of the micro lot size. Now, we've done some interviews with Dr. Olson. He's a speaker at the FX Summit conference that we host, and he gave me some really good advice. He said, markets move in twos. And I'm passing that advice on to you guys because I'm not a gatekeeper for this timeless information. Markets moving in twos means that whenever the market makes an excessive movement, let's just say like a very erratic drop, as we've seen, typically we'll see an equal size move happen again. All right, so this is typically, if you backtest this, whenever you see the initial drop, it typically does move in multiple, especially like twos. So first drop, correction, second equal size drop, equal size correction. Then you have a double bottom and a reversal. Okay. Now, where is the market going to top out? That's where there's a lot more uncertainty. Okay. So here's really what's happening in the markets. This is something that you can backtest, but Trump is a very unique phenomenon when it comes to markets. So number one, this is complete speculation, and I'm not making any sort of official claims. This is just me hypothetically speaking, completely sarcastic and as a satirical commentator. But I think there's a lot of insider trading going on. Okay, I think the market started to drop prior to the Trump tweet. The Trump tweet was at the perfect time to sort of add fuel to the fire to let all of the retail market really buy into this bearish narrative and drive the price lower and lower. Okay, I do think that if there's a concerted effort amongst large capital allocators to sell the market at the same time, then there's probably going to be a concerted effort for this same group to buy the market at the same time, correct? And so when the market bottoms out, I think it's going to be very sharp, and I think it's going to be very, very fast. So if you miss the bottom, you really don't want to chase this trade. So we know that the market is still bullish. We know that there's a second leg coming, okay? And we know that after the second leg comes, we're probably going to have this recovery. The only other thing that can kind of put a wrench in this, the reason I mentioned the insider trading, is because Trump and his cohorts are a unique phenomenon. They really all could have decided that this was the bottom and that the market is just going to continue from here and they're going to buy the dip, quote unquote. I think, like, truthfully, the market can't move that big without liquidity on the other side. So if the market wants to put $500 billion of buy orders into the NASDAQ, they're going to need about $500 billion of sell orders on the other side. So they have someone to basically trade against them. So I think that this big drop is not enough to incentivize the entire retail market and some of the institutional market to go bearish. However, the reason it moves in twos, I believe, is because the second one really kicks even the most hardened, sort of like if you are locked into your bias and nothing can change your mind, that second drop will usually do the trick, right? So that's why I'm expecting the second drop is to entice enough retail money to continue to short this thing, even at these very, very discounted levels. That way, there's enough volume for these capital allocators, for the large institutions to put in these massive buy orders. All right, so what does that mean for you guys that basically used to sniff glue? Market down. We're going to have one more big drop. After a big drop, big bullish pump. Big bullish pump. Sniff glue. All right. Put a one in the chats if we're good to go. I just gave you guys some sauce and some game. If that wasn't enough for you, then I don't even know. Bro. Go kick rocks. That was some this is it. Leaving it all on the table. Sniff glue. I don't know. All right. Who said Elmer's? Guys, we're not doing that. We're not making Elmer's jokes. All right, maybe a little bit. All right. He said, "What's up, my millionaire friend?" All right. Is that Dwayne? Big Dwayne. I haven't seen you in a while, brother. Hope you're doing good. What's the name of the venue for FX Summit 2025? The name of the venue is Plaza Mayor in Medellin, Colombia. So you do Plaza Mayor, Medellin, and you look that up, and what you will find is the largest convention venue in all of Colombia. An absolutely glorious and beautiful venue that will be hosting the FX Summit 2025 conference December 2nd to the 4th. Make sure you guys grab your tickets at fxsummit2025.com. Slightly, we're getting a little bit close. We're about 2 months away. I want you guys to go grab your tickets, use promo code ChartAddicts, get 50% off. This will be our best and biggest event that we've ever thrown. We're having every top 5 institution in the world coming. Binance, Crypto.com, Kraken, KuCoin, Gate.io. That is the crypto panel for the top 5 crypto exchanges in the world. Yes, we will have Black Bull, Pepperstone, Ava, Exness, the top 5 Forex brokers in the world panel, the top 5 Forex influencers in the world, the top 5 Forex traders in the world, Bob Elliott, who was the head of the personal investment team for Ray Dalio, who ran Bridgewater Associates, which is the biggest hedge fund in the world. All right, make sure you guys grab your tickets. That's the only plug I'm going to make during these streams. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this week at a glance, see if there's any financial data we need to watch for. Then I will sort of show some of the trades I'm watching for the week. If any members want me to look at specific financial instruments, I will do that. And at the very end, I might just riff about what's happening in the state of the world because the world's fucked up. There's a lot of stuff happening. We're bombing Venezuelan boats. No bueno. Okay. Bro, that wick on LTC is wild. Dude, the fact that you're watching LTC is wild. All right, brother, this is not 2012. Okay. We got XRP, we got Cardano. Just look at these. But also, members, XRP 88.6. You guys know the drill. Model 2. I can't even zoom out far enough. I don't even have my fib drawn right. Should be body to wick. But I mean, look, members, you guys know the drill. Okay. If I really drew it to this neckline, it would have been a perfect 88 touch, but I drew it to this one. And we still did not hit the stop loss all the way down to 129. Guys, I'm really pissed off because this was the buying opportunity of a lifetime down here at 104. I'm praying for this second drop. Not only is my bias based on historical context because I've been trading for a long time, but also I'm just praying out of pure selfishness that we have one more drop because I have so much money in USDT burning a hole in my crypto wallet. And I've been waiting for this drop for about a year and a half now. And I really hope it just doesn't leave without me because of insider trading. Okay, let's take a look at the week at a glance because financial data can either be a speed bump or it can be a boost to your trades. And it's important to know what's around the corner so you don't fall into any of these traps. So obviously, Jerome Powell speaking on Tuesday, pretty light start to the week. He's due to participate in a moderated discussion about the economic outlook and monetary policy at the National Association for Business Economics annual meeting. National Association for Business Economics, NABE. What the fuck? I don't even know what this is. Guys, I'm pretty read in to a lot of this stuff, and they keep making a new conference. I just have to look and see if this is relevant or not. If a lot of the time Jerome Powell goes around and speaks at colleges, truthfully, he is a little bit more candid than he is when he's like up there like a hostage and he's like blinking in Morse code and shit when he's doing the press conferences. The talks that he does at the colleges are more educational, informative, but they're all very technical and academic. They're usually not like the kids do ask some good questions, but they usually don't open it to a full Q&A. They kind of submit the questions early. If college students were allowed to ask Jerome Powell questions, Lord have mercy. The Fed probably wouldn't survive a week. All right, let me see the list of confirmed speakers. Okay, Brainard is there. Charles Evans is there. Damn. Okay, they got a pretty solid lineup here. But coincidentally, it's all of the hawkish speakers. Interesting. This is like a slight dig to Trump. What is this? Okay, I'll look into this later. Powell speaking. The market's going to do some fake outs before, make everybody think that his speech is relevant to the market movement. The market will move aggressively. People will be texting my phone. Roy, is it Trump, is it Powell's speech that moved the markets? No, I'm telling you this 3 fucking days in advance, and my phone will still blow up on Tuesday. I'm telling you guys, they're planning the volatile movements and these massive erratic sort of price changes already. And the speech doesn't fucking matter. They're going to use it as cover to sort of put in these massive orders that they need to put in, but it's not going to be the driver. And my phone will still blow up after I just fucking said this. You guys see my life? I try so hard on these calls to repeat myself enough times that it's redundant. That way it sticks. And it never sticks. People are like, oh, this guy repeats himself a lot. Mate, for a reason. Fuck. All right. Thursday is going to be a pretty busy day. We have core PPI, and then we have unemployment claims and retail sales on a month by month. There is a notice down here that says US government data may be impacted by the shutdown. This is true. The BLS is not operational, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Bureau of Economic Data is not operational. Um, yeah, none of the traditional government agencies that are responsible for putting out economic data are in service right now because of this government shutdown. Will they still put out some bullshit data? Yeah, it's wrong anyways. When was the last time any of the PPI data or the retail sales data or the unemployment claims, what is it called? The predictions were ever right? It's like once in a blue moon. So it doesn't matter whether they're operating or not. They're going to be wrong. So fuck them. Okay, excuse my language. YouTube, please still send the money. Okay, so we talked about this idea of markets moving in twos. And guys, I'm going to grab some water real quick. Go grab some notes, right? Or go pull up your TradingView chart so that you guys can basically mimic this on your own charts. I'm going to go grab some water real quick. If you have any questions, now is the time to put them in the chats. Sam said, since there's a government shutdown, what happens to all the unreleased economic data? Sam, good questions. First off, how dare you ask a question about a thing that I was going to talk about anyways and do it before I talked about it anyways? The website does not allow you to buy tickets for the FX Summit. Mandy, as soon as I get off this call, I'm going to call my team. They're going to fix that issue. And if you can, all right, send us an email to chartaddicts@gmail.com so we have your email, and we're going to make sure that you're first in line. All right? We're going to send you the link directly. I got you. I've seen you in the chats long enough asking. I promise. Matter of fact, Mandy, send us an email, and I might have a free ticket for you because of how many times you've asked. All right. So NASDAQ expecting two sells. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. Put a 1 in the chat when you guys are back at the station ready to go. Oh, in the meantime, I'll play an excerpt from this week's All In podcast. Just a couple minutes. Only because Brad Gerstner is on. I used to watch this podcast religiously. It became mainstream. These guys were fucking sellouts. They're all just dick riding Trump all day because they're all friends with the entire administration. David Sachs, who's a member on this pod, is the crypto czar. Now, guys, we're 8 fucking months into the year. We still have zero crypto regulation. I would know because I'm waiting for the crypto regulation to become clear so we can start doing events in America again. It's been 8 months. Nada. However, Brad Gerstner, who's one of my favorite financial minds of all time, one of the best investors in Silicon Valley, Brad Gerstner, he's on the pod. And so let's see what he has to say.
250.
I'm going to skip forward to when Brad is talking. So play a couple minutes of this.
Venture capital and so many, and tourism, building new cities, all of that is hard to do. And then also getting investments. If people feel the region's unstable and or dangerous, it's not a good place to invest capital. So let's let's keep pulling the string as to what the best case scenario is here if we have true stability in that region.
Well, I mean, you nailed it. The conditions for all of those things, economic, right, are safety and security. You don't have any economic growth in the region unless you have that. And I think you guys covered it pretty well, but maybe just highlight a broader feature, I think, of this presidency, right? I think we might call Trump like the moonshot presidency. If you think about everything he's trying to accomplish, even Hillary Clinton said, if he pulls off peace between Ukraine and Russia, which is also going on simultaneous to these efforts, that she herself will nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize, right? I look at the presidency, there are moonshots going on everywhere. China, AI, reindustrialization, India, Pakistan, Ukraine, and Russia, what he's doing in the Middle East. And if you think about moonshots, we all do these in Silicon Valley. These are high risk, high reward efforts. We want to back people who go for moonshots. But the reality is most people don't have the courage to go for moonshots because there's a high probability that it won't work. But if you think about this for a second, after the horror of the October 7th attacks, the chaos in Syria, the attacks by Yemen, the escalations fueled by Iran, the idea that the president, Witkoff, and you're right, Chamath, our friend Jared Kushner, could have overcome all of that, right? And that could have been all-out war across the Middle East. It could have plunged the entire Middle East into utter chaos. But instead, he decapitated Iran. We brought Syria into the fold. We're on the verge of expanding the Abraham Accords. And now you have this historic signing.
I heard the shit from the other room. I am so sorry for subjecting you guys to all of this misinformation. Lord have mercy. I would like to formally apologize on behalf of myself and me and myself. Gosh, a lot of stuff there. Okay. I literally just walked back in from the kitchen while I was filling up water just to turn that shit off. Because ain't no way I'm about to let this stand on our show. All right. I literally see 0 questions in here. Either you guys are fucking mastermind geniuses and we can get off this thing, or I've answered every question, or it's Sunday and we're all kind of slumped and nothing's coming to mind. Can you guys just let me know which one it is? Because if you guys are all fucking soup, just send me a signal, for God's sakes. Let me know. But just let me know which one it is. Just even if the question is, what is gold going to do? What is NASDAQ doing? Like, just something, for God's sakes. Just let me know you guys are alive.
What's your thoughts on that letter that China supposedly sent with the super high tariffs and stuff like that on the metals?
I think that us putting sanctions on a country that is already trying to like break off from the US is only going to make things worse. China cannot convince the whole world to delever off the dollar. It's too chaotic and it's too expensive. This will take 25, 30 years for them to do, which they are planning and doing. But it's too early for them to play their hand like this. China is known for being meticulous, long-term planning, and just doing things very slowly where you don't notice, and then you die by a death by 1,000 cuts. This is unlike China. Now, maybe they think that the US is so distracted with Ukraine and Gaza and all these different things that this is the perfect time for them it's now or never, which I think is a huge miscalculation. However, it's like, I heard a comedian make this joke. It's like sanctioning a country that is doing something that is like doing something horrible is like, how do I say this? It's like a guy's beating his wife and you go steal his car. That's the joke he made. It's like, yeah, you didn't stop the guy from beating his wife. Now the guy's got no car and he's pissed. Like, who do you think is going to take it out on? You get what I'm trying to say? And so, like, these people already have animosity towards us. If we exacerbate this problem, and then we also sanction countries that sign on to this thing, we're just pushing those people further and further into China's hands. Do I think it's actually going to lead to anything? Fuck no. Is anyone going to use the Chinese yuan? Fuck no. Fuck no. So that's my overall take. I still doing 2 minutes. All right. I just had to turn that bullshit off.
You think we're actually gonna go into Venezuela or like start that push the button with the cartel in Mexico?
I'll be back in literally 1 minute. Hold that question.
Yeah, do your thing.
All right, I'm back. Okay, I needed that. My bad, bro. What was your question?
So picking up on it was basically like, do you believe like basically like we're actually gonna go into Venezuela after Maduro? And do you think we're actually gonna push the button on going after the cartel? Because I think that will create some conflict when it comes to supply chains and the market and oil.
Bro, I'm praying for Venezuela. But the good news is that Trump's base, which it used to include myself, is so fed up with this shit, bro. Like, how did we go from no more foreign wars? We're gonna pull out of all these different countries. So now we're over here in Iran and Venezuela, which we never even. So the history is that we've been doing regime changes in Venezuela since the 60s, probably even before that. Venezuela has the largest deposit of oil in the world. The problem with this US regime is that the Maduro regime and some of the higher officials in that regime have already offered America can take the largest cut of the oil. They already gave up the mineral rights, but America just wants Maduro gone. This is like Gaddafi all over again. This is like Saddam Hussein. This is like the Shah of Iran. Anyone that doesn't play nice and wants to sell oil in their local currency or for their own benefit, and we no longer have control over this natural resource or the supply chain of this resource, we do regime change through the CIA. So right now, there's already protests against the Maduro regime because of just natural protests. So the CIA will add fuel to the fire, social media campaigns, and sort of this regime change sort of protocol. And I think that's what they're trying to do. And it's really fucking stupid. And I think that Trump's base is going to get him to turn back on this, if God willing, bro. Because a regime change war is not what Venezuela needs. And it kind of looks like that's where we're headed. You feel me? Venezuela makes up less than, I think what the number was, less than 12%, or not even less than 10% of the total drugs that come into the US. They're not even on the radar for drug countries that are importing into the US. Bolivia sitting right there. All the countries that actually do have most of the drugs coming into the US come from the Pacific, which Venezuela doesn't have access to. It's like this is clearly a regime change war against Maduro because they've made every consolation possible. The Maduro regime has made every consolation possible, and the US will not concede until he's gone. It's the whole Hamas thing in fucking Gaza. You get me? All right. Now, how does that relate to markets? Right now, it doesn't unless there's an escalation there. If there's an escalation, then we will see movement in the dollar and in oil because all of this is to protect the dollar's dominance. We've over-levered the whole world. The dollar's value comes from the petrodollar system, where we've tied the value of the US dollar not to the full faith and credit of the US government, but to the full faith and credit that the number one resource in the world is oil and you all need it, and it's only priced in dollars, so you have to keep getting dollars. And so that's why we are protecting this sort of system. You feel me? That basically explains the last 30 years in the Middle East, why we were in Vietnam, why we were in Afghanistan, besides the opium, obviously. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get kicked off YouTube. NASDAQ, clearly a massive drop. What I'm going to do this week is I'm actually expecting. So for today, the trade that I will take, I've already taken shorts, which I think are still cooking. But there's going to be a fill of this gap right here. Okay, so whether the market reaches up first and then comes down, or it respects this triple top and comes down. Once the market clears this gap, I will be taking longs and dollar cost averaging into longs and buying this week. When the markets move in twos, typically there's a fake out period. The market has to entice buyers to step back into the market. Once enough buyers are continuing to buy at these high prices, they're bidding the market higher, there are now enough orders on the opposite side for these institutions to do their second sell-off. Copy and paste A to B, C to D relationship, find that entry price, and then whenever you think it's the low, wait a little bit more. That's my only advice. Whatever you think is the low, just wait. You don't have to be first, but you sure as hell don't want to be early. Put a one in the chats if that makes sense. The market will continue to drop. Maybe not this week. This week we might just see the retracement, but there's a second leg coming. And if you try to guess the bottom and try to catch the knife as it's falling, you're going to slice your hand open and you will bleed out, aka your account will be gutted. If you're trading smart, you have good risk management, perfect. You can take a few chances. But whatever you think is the bottom, I guarantee it ain't it. And if you miss this bottom and now you guys are buying and chasing this, when it comes down to fill the gap, your account's going to get crushed. So do not buy high. Make sure you guys wait for the corrections and buy low. And if you do buy low, keep risk management as a top priority. That's the only advice I have. All right? Makes sense? Put a one in the chats. I see all of them on Zoom. We're good to go. Perfect. Trump is almost net negative to America. Yeah. And this is like the fallacy of politics. It's like, oh, but you should have seen how bad it would have been with the other guy. Yeah, it would have all been cooked. I literally would rather have a vegetable in office than someone who's going to add $3 trillion to the debt and go bomb a Venezuelan boat. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I didn't vote for this. Okay. So Bitcoin, everything had a massive correction due to last week's drop. Why did last week's drop happen? Is it because of one tweet? No. The markets have been absolutely ripping bullish. And these large institutional holders need to take profits. There's no point in holding a trade unless you take some money. And so I think that once usually the stack goes like this, it's like a pyramid. You'll have like Bezos about to sell some of his shares of Amazon, and he's going to sell like 3 billion or whatever. So people kind of find out in the layer right under this. These are insiders. And so what'll happen is right before this kind of move, everyone's positioned short, and then Bezos sells. Then what happens is they need the rest of the market, the large, like kind of retail institutions and retail hedge funds, to continue to drive the price bearish, continue to drive it lower and lower and lower. And then you have the full retail market down here kind of just being the seller of last resort, the last one in, and then they get rug pulled. And so you'll have the big sellers kind of start, and then they'll usually I think that there's a group chat, not literally, but like conceptually, a group chat with the largest institutions in this country that are just like, hey, we're about to do this thing. Trump's going to send out a tweet. Y'all position yourselves early. And that's what we're seeing here. Same thing that I'm seeing on NASDAQ. The assets that crashed all have one thing in common. They're all the high risk, high beta stocks or high risk, high beta assets. The assets that are further along on the risk curve, right? The high risk, high reward. And so those stocks typically, they show a top of a market. That's usually when you see all of the risk assets kind of drop at the same time. It's a taking profit season. That's why I'm praying for one more big drop so I can buy Bitcoin, preferably under the 100K mark. Around 92 would be perfect. French, maybe they're in our group chat, bro. 100%. They all just got the 99 plan. That's what happened. Okay. Trump quid pro quo with Qatar is sad. They're getting an Air Force base here. Crazy. I mean, dude, Qatar is not really like a militaristic opposition to us. We have the world's largest Air Force base in Qatar just chilling there. And we've been completely fucking fine. We keep calling them the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, all this bullshit. Why the fuck would we have our #1 largest Air Force base in the world there? Right? This is like the logic. Like people who watch the news and shit literally have zero logic. They keep saying that Iran somehow is anti-Semitic and hates Jews. When Iran, I think, has the second largest population of Jews in the Middle East. And it's like if they really, really want to just get rid of the Jews, like this was like the fucking thing. Why wouldn't they start in their own country? There's a bunch of them just sitting there and living nice. Like, it's like, bro, just follow the fucking logic. Do we hate Qatar if we have our largest fucking Air Force base there? Or would we trust that country with the lives of our soldiers that in case of a world war, we are positioned correctly and not in some bullshit situation? Clearly, we have a good relationship with them. You understand? All right, I'll give you guys a gold one for free because someone sent it out earlier. Here's your range. This is how you do your range every single week. All right, let's go ahead and do body to wick. This is a model too, by the way. All right, here's the low. Here's the 88. Okay, and so if one fib sequence is confirmed, what you can do is actually reverse the fib sequence and cheat a little bit. and take the shorts on the other side. Make sense? Now, I do have to adjust this actually. Just slightly. We'll go body to wick. And it looks like a triple top short. What I would do for this trade is short this thing, stops at the 1.17, TPs. We don't use the same take profits for gold. I'm getting PTSD from trading this shit back in like 2022. And TP at the 50% fib. Okay, I might as well just get rid of this 88 and put the 78.6 instead. Now, if you're unsure about this, what you can do is not the smartest thing, but if the market breaks under the 78 and closes, you can look for a retest at that fib level here. But then your risk and reward is fucked. Like right now, the R&R for this trade is about a 4-to-1. Let me make sure it's accurate. 4-to-1, 3.8-to-1. If you want to take the retest trade, you'll probably end up getting less than a 1-to-1 R&R. Right now, if it keeps dropping, you'll get lucky. But we don't really trade off lucky. We trade off probability. All right, let me send this out in the chats. If you guys have any questions, now is the time, or forever hold your peace. Of course, look at the links in the description. Chart-addicts.com. New link, brand new. And also FXSummit2025.com. Make sure you grab your tickets to the #1 most anticipated Forex event in the entire world annually, every year. See you guys there. Members, if you guys have questions, put them in the chats. And let's make some fucking money this week.